Alright, welcome to my YouTube channel. So this is biology, paper 1, and also one question from paper 2. So the question is saying, which characteristic is shown when a person smells a gas in the air? Which characteristic is shown when a person smells a gas in the air? So we have A, excretion. So excretion is defined as the removal of undigested food via the anus. Then when you talk of movement, this one just involves the change in position, okay, which does not involve an external help. Then when you talk of respiration, this one is just the process by which energy is released from the food an organism eats. Then as for D, sensitivity. So sensitivity is also known as irritability. So this one is just the ability of the living organism to detect a particular stimulus. So here, a gas, it is more like a stimulus in this case here. So the person is going to detect this gas here. So which means the final answer here is going to be sensitivity, right? Then as for question, the next one is saying, an organism has dry scales covering its body. An organism has dry scales covering its body. To which vertebra, let me say, to which vertebrate group does it belong? To which vertebrate group does it belong? So we have the amphibians. So amphibians, these are just living organisms that can live both in water, somehow they can live in water and on the land. Then when you talk of fish, the fish, they just live in water, right? Then when you talk of mammals, these are just living organisms that breastfeed. Then when you talk of reptiles like a crocodile is a reptile, and also a chameleon is a reptile, right? So the final answer here is going to be a reptile, right? A reptile, an example, a crocodile. A crocodile, it has a dry scales, right? Yeah. Then the next one is saying, the diagram shows 4 specialized cells. So the first one here, it is the liver cell, followed by the white blood cell, which is called the phagocyte. Then we also have the muscle cell. Then the last one, it is the sperm cell, or the male gamete. Now the question is saying, which feature is not common to all of these cells? Which feature is not common to all of these cells? So the first one, which is option A, we have cell membrane. So all these cells, they have cell membrane. Apart from the cell membrane, B, cytoplasm. So all these cells, they have cytoplasm. Then as for C, diploid number of chromosomes. So let's hold on this part here. We have D, which is the nucleus. So as you can see, this one here, it has a nucleus. Even this one here, it has a nucleus. Even the muscle cell, it has a nucleus. Even the sperm cell, it has what? The nucleus. Which means the final answer here is going to be C. Now let me explain on this part here what it means when you say diploid. So under genetics, we have 2 cells. We have 2 types of what? Cells. There is what we call somatic cells. We have what we call somatic cells, and we also have gamete cells, right? So an example of gamete cells is the sperm cell, okay? Then apart from the sperm cell, we also have the ovum. The ovum is an example of the gamete cell. Now, somatic cells are also known as body cells. Somatic cells are also known as what? Body cells. Now what you need to know here is that somatic cells, they have the number of chromosome as the diploid number. So when you say diploid number, it is 46 chromosomes, right? 46 chromosomes are also known as the diploid number. So these 46 chromosomes are found where? In the somatic cells or the body cells, right? Then when you talk of the haploid number is found where? In the gamete cells. So the haploid number, it is just the half of the diploid number. So since here I'm saying the diploid number, it is 46. Now what is the half of 46? It is 23, right? So now this 23, it is found where now? In the sperm. So as you can see, the sperm is having the haploid number here, right? The muscle cell is having the diploid number, right? The white blood cell is having the diploid number. Even the liver cell is having what? The diploid number, which means this one is qualified to be the answer, which is the C, right? Then the next one is saying, the diagram shows a plant cell. The diagram shows a plant cell. So we have structure P, which is called the cell membrane, structure Q, which is called the cell wall, structure R, which is called the vacuole, structure S, which is called the nucleus. Then the last one, structure T, which is called cytoplasm. Now the question is saying, which labeled structures are found in plant cells but not in animal cells? So we have the cell wall. Apart from the cell wall, we also have the vacuole. Now listen, the vacuole can also found in animal cells but in smaller amount. So we have Q and R, okay? So we have Q and R. Cell membrane, which is P, it is found in both cells. So here they are just asking us the structures which are not found in animals, but they are found in plants. So as you can see, this one here, it is the root hair cell, which was veiled under the compound microscope, not an electronic microscope, because an electronic microscope, it shows all the features. So the final answer here is going to be B, since B is having Q and R, right? Then the next one is saying, the diagram shows another plant cell. So this one here, it is a plant cell. Specifically, it is called the palisade cell. Specifically, it is called the palisade cell. So now as you can see, these structures here, these structures, they are called chloroplasts. So the palisade cell contains many chloroplasts, or the maximum content of chloroplasts. So the question is saying, which feature shows that it is a palisade cell? So we have A large nucleus. This one here is the smaller nucleus, so which means A is not the answer. Then B, a large vacuole. Of course it has a large vacuole. Now this one here, it is not as larger, right? Then as for C, a thick cell wall. So this one is thin cell wall, not thick cell wall. Then the last one, which is D, many chloroplasts. So the answer is going to be D, because as you can see, these are many chloroplasts here that you can see, right? So the answer, it is D. Then the next one is saying, which structures are adapted for supporting a plant? So supporting the plant, the function of the xylem, the function of this xylem here, it is to support the plant and conduct water and mineral salts. So the answer here is going to be xylem vessels, which is D. Then the function of the stomatas, or the stomata, this one is just the space where the gaseous exchange takes place. Then the root hair cells, this one here helps in the absorption of water and mineral salts. Whereas for A, which is the phloem cells, or them say the phloem tissues. The phloem tissues, they help in the conduction of manufactured food, or translocation of manufactured foods. So the answer here, it is D, right? Then the next one is saying, which describes the structure and function of a red blood cell. So the red blood cell, it has no nucleus. The red blood cell, it has no nucleus. So red blood cell is biconcave in shape. So this shape here, it is called the biconcave in shape. Now, the red blood cell, it has no nucleus. So it has the absence of nucleus. And its function is to transport oxygen around the body. Its function is to transport oxygen around the body. So the answer here is going to be D, which is saying the structure here, it has no nucleus. Then its function, it is to transport of substances, right? So the answer here, it is D. Then the next one is saying, boiling potatoes destroys their cell membranes. A peeled boiled potato strip is placed in a concentrated solution of salts. So we have the boiled potato strip and also the concentrated solution of salts. Now the question is saying, what takes place here? What takes place here? So when a potato is boiled, all the cells are going to be killed. When the potato is boiled, all the cells are going to be killed. Therefore, osmosis is not going to take place. Even diffusion is not going to take place here. So once the cells are boiled, the substances are not going to enter the cell, or they are not going to leave the cell because the cells are dead. So in this case here, the answer is going to be D. Osmosis is not going to take place. Solute diffusion is not going to take place here. So this clause here is indicating that T does not take place. Then the mark is indicating that T takes place, right? So the answer, it is D, which means osmosis is not going to take place. Even diffusion is not going to take place unless the potato strip was not boiled, which means osmosis and diffusion is going to take place here, right? So let's move on to the next one. So the next one is saying a red blood cell is placed in a concentrated sugar solution. What happens and why? So you are going to find that if a red blood cell is placed in a concentrated sugar solution, what is going to happen is that it is going to shrink, right? It is going to shrink because the water molecules are going to move from the red blood cell, right? So we have A, the cell bursts as sugar enters a diffusion into it. Then as for B, the cell bursts because the concentration sugar solution enters it, right? Then as for C, the cell shrinks because sugar molecules leave it. Then as for D, the cell shrinks because water leaves it. So the final answer here is going to be D. This happens when a red blood cell is placed in a hypertonic solution. So a concentrated sugar solution is also known as the hypertonic solution. So if here we are having a red blood cell, then the solution outside the red blood cell, it is highly concentrated, right? If the solution outside the red blood cell here, it is highly concentrated. So what is going to happen here is like this. The water molecules are going to leave the red blood cell. Are we together? So the water molecules are going to leave the red blood cell, going outside the what? Outside the cell. Right. Now if this one here is the beaker and this one here is the red blood cell, so what usually happens here during osmosis is like this. The water molecules, they move from the region of lower concentration to the region of higher concentration. So in this case here we are having sugar solution. Now this sugar solution is considered to be highly concentrated, right? And the solution inside the red blood cell is considered to be low concentrated, right? Now, since I'm saying osmosis is the movement of water molecules from the region of lower concentration to the region of higher concentration across the cell membrane, which means the red blood cell is having low concentration, right? Then the solution inside the beaker, it is having what? Higher concentration, which means the water molecules are going to leave the red blood cell. As the result, the red blood cell is going to reduce in size. So we say it shrinks. So the structure of the red blood cell is just going to look something like this one here. So this one is going to be a red blood cell at the end of the experiment. So let's try to look at the next one. So the next one is saying the diagram shows a cell. What type of cell is shown? So this cell here, of course it is a nerve cell, but specifically it is called the motor neuron. So the answer is B. It is called the motor neuron. The next one is saying when a bright light is shone into the eye, the diameter of the pupil decreases. What is this an example of? So this is an example of accommodation of an eye, right? So the accommodation of an eye happens when you move from the bright light going to the dark, or from the dark to the bright light, right? That is what accommodation. You're going to find that the size of the pupil is going to increase when you move from the bright light going to the dark light. Then when you move from the dark light going to the bright light, you're going to find that the pupil is going to decrease in size. Next one is saying the diagram shows 4 flasks which were set up to investigate the conditions needed for germination. So the conditions needed for germination, the first one, it is temperature. So I'm saying the first one, it is temperature. So temperature should be ranging from, the maximum should be 37 degrees Celsius. Then apart from the temperature, we need also to have oxygen. So oxygen is needed when a plant is germinating. Then apart from oxygen, water. So these are the things which are essential for a plant to germinate. Now let's try to look at the options here. Right, so the question is saying, in which experiment will the seed germinate most quickly? So we have A is having the dry cotton wool. When they say dry cotton wool, which means this one is not having water, right? And the temperature, of course, here it is stable, but it is not having water, which means the seed can't germinate. Let us come to option B. Option B, it is having boiled water, which means the cells are going to be killed here. The cells for the seeds are going to be killed. And it is also having the cotton wool, which is going to be wheat. Now, this one is not going to germinate because water is boiled, which means the cells are going to be killed. Whereas for C, of course, even this, the temperature is stable, but what is wrong with this one is just water, because water is boiled. Whereas for C is having damp cotton wool. So in terms of damp cotton wool, it contains moisture, right? It contains what? Moisture, small amount of water. And also the temperature here, it is stable, which means this one here is going to germinate. Whereas for option D, of course, it is having the damp cotton wool and also the seed, but the temperature here, it is lower because it is having 2 degrees Celsius, which means the seed can't germinate. The enzymes are going to be inactive, right? So the answer here, it is just C. Then as for the next one is saying, the gland secretes different types of enzymes into part of the alimentary canal, which allows digestion of proteins and starch. It also receives alkaline secretions from another gland and contain muscles that are used in peristalsis. So, the structure, it is just A. So this structure, it is called the duodenum. Then structure B, it is called the stomach. Structure C, it is called the pancreas. And structure D, it is called the large intestine. So in the large intestine, that is where now the absorption of water takes place. Then the function of the pancreas, it is to secrete the pancreatic juice, right? So the function of the stomach, this one just acts as the storage. Are we together? This just store food temporarily, and also it plays a role in digestion. Now, as for the duodenum, this is just the part where now, when this pancreas secretes the pancreatic juice, which is alkaline, the pancreatic juice is going to be now at the duodenum, right? Then similarly, at the same duodenum, you're going to find that peristalsis is going to occur. So the next one, it is saying, which pathway provides humans with the most fiber, roughage in the diet? So we have A, soya beans. Then as for B, we have grass, cow. This one is not the correct answer because cow, they provide proteins. When they eat grass, they are going to provide proteins to the human and also energy, right? Then as for C, we have maize and chicken. So chicken is going to provide also proteins and also energy to the human being. We have microscopic plants and also crustaceans. Then the last one is what? Fish. So the crustaceans, they are also found where? In the sea or in the liver. So the fish also, they are going to provide proteins to the human being. So the correct answer here, it is just going to be soya beans. Soya beans provides what? Roughage or fiber to the human being. The answer, it is A, right? Then the next one is saying, in the A, BO, blood group system, which genotype is homozygous dominant? So we have blood group A and also blood group B and blood group O. Now, blood group O exists as homozygous recessive. So when I say homozygous recessive, which means it is going to exist like this. Homo means same. So it is going to exist like this. So this one is qualified to be homozygous recessive. When you say recessive, which means it has no power to express in the phenotype, right? Then as for blood group A can exist as homozygous dominant and also heterozygous dominant, where you are going to have blood group A and blood group what? O. Since here I'm saying O, it is recessive, which means it is not going to be shown on the phenotype. Only blood group A is going to be shown on the phenotype. So blood group A can exist as homozygous dominant and also heterozygous dominant. Similar to blood group B, it is going to exist the same thing. You're going to have same letters like BB, right? BB. Then also here you can have BO. So blood group B can exist as homozygous dominant and also heterozygous dominant. Now, on this part here, they are just asking us which genotype is homozygous dominant. So it is going to have the same letters and it should be dominant. So the correct answer here is going to be C. We are having B here. So it is homozygous dominant. Now, as for this one here, it is heterozygous dominant. A is dominant and also B is dominant. So we say heterozygous dominant. Then as for this one here, option A, we are having group A, which is heterozygous dominant. So A is dominant, O is recessive. Right? And then as for this one here, I have said group O only exists as homozygous recessive. So the answer, it is C. Then as for the next one is saying the diagram shows a section through a flower. So we have this part here which is called the anther, then this part here which is called the stigma, and this part here which is called the ovary, then this part here which is called the ovule. So we have W which is called the anther, then X which is called the stigma, then Y which is called the ovary, then Z which is called the ovule. So the correct answer here is going to be A, right? The correct answer here is going to be what? A. Let's move on to the next one. The next one is saying the diagram shows part of a food web. So this one is coming from ecology or ecosystem. Which pyramid of numbers is based on this food web? So trees, they act like the producers, which means we are going to have many producers here. Now, as you can see the way it is here, we are having the fox here, the fox, and also the badgers here, and also the eagles, which are called the tertiary consumers. Now, what you need to understand here is that at the bottom here, we need to have more grasses, right? Or trees. We need to have more trees or grasses, which means this one here, it is shown like we are going to have more grasses here, because if we have few grasses here, we are going to find that the consumers are going to be reduced in numbers, right? So which means on this part here, we need to have more trees, right? So if we have more trees, then at the end here, we are going to find that the tertiary consumers are going to be what? Smaller. So the final answer here, it is going to be C, because here, trees should be many. Then the primary consumer should be also many, but should not exceed the total number of trees, right? Then similarly, the primary consumers should not exceed the producers, right? Then the next one is the secondary consumer. So the secondary consumer should not exceed the primary consumer. Then the secondary consumer should not exceed the primary consumer, of course. So the next one is going to be the tertiary, which is the last one. So the tertiary consumer should not exceed the secondary consumer. So the correct answer here is going to be C. The diagram shows the arrangement of bones and muscles in the arm. Question A, Roman numeral number 1. Name each of the following. So we have part A or muscle A. So this muscle A, it is called the bicep or biceps. Then as for B, it is called the scapula. Then as for C, it is called the humerus, right? C is called the humerus. So let's come to Roman numeral number 2. So Roman numeral number 2 is saying identify the hinge joint on the diagram by using a label line and the letter H. So hinge joint is found here, right? So the hinge joint is found here. So when you talk of the hinge joint, this one is just the joint which allows the bones to move only on one plane or 180 degrees, right? So let's say, for example, if you straighten your arm, you're just going to find that the arm is just going to be straightened within 180 degrees, right? Then as for Roman numeral number 3 is saying, describe how the type of movement of a ball and socket joint differ from that of a hinge joint. So like the way I was saying, hinge joint allows the movement only on one plane, but when you talk of ball and socket joint, this allows the movement of the bones in all the direction, right? So it is 360 degrees. So the difference here is that ball and socket joint allows the movement of the bones in all the direction or directions. Then as for the hinge joint, it just allows the movement only on one plane, right? So question B is saying the contraction of muscle A, which is called the bicep, to raise the lower part of the arm requires energy. This energy may be provided by aerobic respiration. State the equation in words or symbols for aerobic respiration. So they're just going to say oxygen plus glucose, and what is going to be produced here, it is carbon dioxide plus water, right? Oxygen plus glucose, what is going to be produced is what? Carbon dioxide and water. Then as for Roman numeral number 2 saying, explain why a person may feel pain in muscle A if the arm is raised and lowered a number of times quickly. So on this part here, once a person raise and lower part A, which is the bicep, many of the times you're going to find that oxygen will be limited. Now, when oxygen is limited, you're going to find that anaerobic respiration is going to take place. Now, during anaerobic respiration, you're going to find that uric acid is going to be produced, right? Uric acid is going to be produced, which is going to cause the pain. So, this is because oxygen will be limited and anaerobic respiration is going to take place. As the result, uric acid is going to be produced, which is going to cause the pain. So that was the last one. Thanks for watching.